It's exactly 4:30 p.m. on Anzac Day, April 25th, 1935. Inside the crowded, humid interior of the Coogee Aquarium baths in Sydney, Australia, dozens of holiday onlookers are pressed against the glass of a massive exhibition tank. They are watching a 14-foot tiger shark, recently captured from the open ocean, swim sluggishly in circles. It's a completely standard, peaceful afternoon attraction. Suddenly, the massive predator begins to convulse violently. It thrashes against the surface, turning the green water into a churning foam. The crowd watches in absolute fascination, assuming it's part of a feeding demonstration. But as the shark violently vomits into the tank, something solid bobs to the surface and drifts slowly against the glass. The murmurs of the crowd instantly curdle into piercing screams. Floating right in front of their eyes isn't a half-digested fish or a piece of ocean debris. It is a perfectly preserved, muscular human arm. When local constables drain the tank and haul the limb onto a wooden examination table, they realize they aren't dealing with a tragic, random shark attack out in the surf. The arm has been cleanly, meticulously severed at the shoulder joint with a razor-sharp knife, and a thick piece of rope is tied tightly around the wrist. The ocean didn't create this horror, a human being did. And the phantom who committed the crime used the belly of a shark as a temporary grave, completely unaware that nature was about to reject the secret. Within 24 hours of the discovery, the Sydney Police Department found themselves operating inside a complete forensic maze. How do you identify a victim when you only possess a single left arm? The answer was etched permanently into the skin. Etched into the forearm was a highly distinct, dark blue ink tattoo of two boxers squaring off in a ring. Detectives broadcasted the description to every local newspaper, and within hours, a frantic local woman named Gladys Smith walked into the precinct. Her brother, a 40-year-old former lightweight boxer and well-known local resident named James "Jimmy" Smith, had completely vanished 3 weeks prior. Forensic fingerprint expert Inspector Edward Fountain carefully rolled the ink from the severed hand and compared it to old police records. It was a flawless match. Jimmy Smith had a reputation in the boxing rings, but in recent years his life had taken a dark, quiet turn into the margins of the law. He had transitioned from a clean athlete into a high-stakes fixer, operating inside a dangerous local criminal syndicate. As detectives mapped out Jimmy's final movements, they discovered he had been playing a double game, acting as an informant while managing a highly lucrative, illegal smuggling ring. The severed arm wasn't just a crime scene, it was an underworld execution. To fully comprehend why Jimmy Smith had to be erased from the grid, detectives had to pull back the curtain on Sydney's elite high society underbelly. The investigation led straight to a brilliant, ruthlessly calculating businessman named Reginald William Lloyd Holmes. Holmes was a highly respected boat builder who ran a legitimate maritime operation, but behind closed doors, he was the mastermind behind a massive forgery and drug smuggling ring. Jimmy Smith had been hired by Holmes to scuttle a luxury yacht for a massive insurance payout and to pass forged checks through local banks. But when a high-stakes forgery operation fell through, costing the syndicate thousands of pounds, the relationship turned lethal. Smith began blackmailing Holmes, threatening to hand over the financial ledgers directly to the authorities. Holmes panicked. He brought in a brutal, cold-blooded underworld enforcer named Patrick Brady to handle the problem. Brady invited Jimmy out to a secluded cottage in the beachside suburb of Cronulla for a night of drinking and cards. That was the last night Jimmy Smith was ever seen alive. Brady had targeted his associate, executed him in the dark, and meticulously dismantled the body, packing the remains into a heavy trunk before dumping it into the deep shipping lanes of the Pacific. He kept the left arm as a grim trophy, throwing it over the side separately, completely blind to the fact that a passing tiger shark was waiting in the shadows below. By June 1935, the psychological pressure on Reginald Holmes reached an absolute, catastrophic breaking point. Police arrested Patrick Brady, charging him with murder based on the forensic evidence found at the Cronulla cottage. They swarmed Holmes's luxury mansion, demanding he testify as the state's star witness. Holmes knew that if he spoke, the entire syndicate would implode and his life would be forfeit. On the evening of May 20th, Holmes made a desperate, spectacular run for his life. He walked down to his private dock, boarded a high-speed luxury speedboat, and blasted out into the dark waters of Sydney Harbor. He pulled a firearm, pointed it at his own temple, and pulled the trigger. The bullet struck his forehead, but miraculously failed to pierce his skull. Dazed, bleeding, and blinded by adrenaline, Holmes kept the throttle pinned, leading a massive fleet of police boats on a wild, 2-hour high-speed chase across the harbor waves before finally surrendering in absolute exhaustion. He agreed to cooperate, promising to name every single figure behind the smuggling ring on the morning of the official inquest. But the shadow of the syndicate moved faster than the law. On the morning of June 12, 1935, just hours before he was scheduled to take the witness stand and expose the entire operation, Reginald Holmes was found slumped over the steering wheel of his car parked on a quiet wharf. He had been shot twice through the chest at point-blank range. The star witness was dead. Without his testimony, the legal case against Patrick Brady completely collapsed, as a defense lawyer famously argued that a single arm did not constitute a body, and therefore, no murder could be legally proven. Brady walked out of the courtroom a free man, because this wild, unprecedented investigation played out nearly a century ago. The physical records, the court transcripts, and the original suspects have all faded into the public domain, leaving behind one of the most bizarre, unyielding cold cases in maritime history. The shark arm case reminds us that sometimes the truth cannot be permanently swallowed by the dark. Nature has a strange, unbendable way of forcing our darkest secrets back to the surface, demanding to be seen. I want to know what you guys think about the ultimate collapse of the trial. Do you think Patrick Brady deserved to walk free on that legal loophole? Or did the justice system fail Jimmy Smith? Let's talk about it down in the comments below, and please keep the discussion deeply respectful of the history. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, look out for one another, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Bye.